You hear me in the back? Okay. Well, thank you for coming to Caridad. Where's Darío? We want to thank Darío. Oh, there he is. Darío is an icon here in Kingsbridge. And we thank him for allowing us to come to his restaurant today to begin a series of meetings at my office and the electeds, of course, our board president and our city council members. We're going to be having a hearing tour so that we could listen to everybody in the neighborhood about the potential, the new potential for the Kingsbridge Armory. And so I want to welcome all of you. All of you are stakeholders in this. I know that this project has been around for some time, and I believe very strongly that it represents a great opportunity for the relaunching of the Bronx, the post-COVID-19 pandemic era in the Bronx, and it could very well be the economic engine for the recovery of the Bronx. And to that end, I think it's going to take all of us to work together to sort of like listen to each other and come up with bright ideas, good ideas that will relaunch this neighborhood, that will create jobs, that will strengthen businesses like this one and other businesses in this street and adjacent streets that have been economically struggling for many, many years, and to lift the community through the efforts of job creation and economic development. So to that end, I think that's the goal of this gathering, to listen to you and to hear what ideas you may have regarding the development of the Kingsbridge Armory, which again is within the 13th Congressional District, is one of the most important projects for this particular Congressional District. So with that, I want to welcome our great Borough President, who has hit the ground running, and I know that is also placing a lot of priority on this particular project. We're going to listen to the other elected officials, and then you will introduce yourselves so that we can get going and listen to you. Welcome, Vanessa Gibson.
Thank you, Congressman. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for everyone's presence here this morning. It's great to be here at Caridad again. I'm always here. And I want to thank my colleagues in government who are here, and really all of you, our community stakeholders, our leaders, our advocates, those of you that care so much about the future of the Kingsbridge Armory, but certainly the borough of the Bronx. I am grateful to serve as your Bronx Borough President. 4 months in office. It has truly been a very, very busy season for us, but we are very committed. My staff and I are absolutely committed to this project and seeing it move forward. And I first want to acknowledge all of the advocates and all of the incredible organizations, including the Northwest Bronx Community and Clergy Coalition led by Sandra Lobo and her team. Because for many years, it was the Northwest community that came together that said, we have a vision. We have a blueprint for the Kingsbridge Armory. And they laid the foundation over 20 years ago and created a community benefits agreement, an advisory board, and a working group, and really started this process off. And so it's really interesting that we're here today in 2022 during this new season, because although I know the proposal that we are most familiar with did not come to fruition, I see it as a learning lesson. And it's a learning lesson to learn about some of the things that we did or did not do, some of the gaps in services, some of the promises that were not fulfilled, and how we can look at relaunching a project that is truly beneficial to the community. So this is our season, community. This is our opportunity to do something different, and really to make sure that we come up with the best and most comprehensive and strategic plan that not only represents the community, but the future. As the Congressman talked about, we know that the Kingsbridge Armory is ripe for development, growth, job opportunity, economic development, building generational wealth, and economic power and prosperity, giving people the power that they already have, and allowing our merchants, our business improvement districts, our small businesses, our everyday Bronxites that wake up every day and go to work and are struggling to meet the basic necessities. We are doing this for them. We are creating the next generation of leaders. And one of the things that I want to be very clear on is there are basic essentials that we are starting in this process. When you talk about jobs, I'm not talking about minimum wage jobs. I'm talking about jobs that build a pathway to the middle class. I'm talking about jobs at minimum, prevailing wage and union wage jobs. I'm talking about local hiring opportunities and MWBE provisions. I'm talking about entrepreneurial opportunities, worker cooperatives, dealing with community land trusts. These are things that many of you have already been working on for years and years. And so when I say that this is the floor and not the ceiling, this is the starting point. This is not the ending point. So there are certain basic essentials that I call necessities that we have to have. And so you have my commitment to be a part of this conversation with our congressman, our senator, our assembly members, and our council members. The final thing I want to say, and be very clear, thanks to the state elected officials, Senator Gustavo Rivera, Assembly Member Yudelka, Assembly Member José Rivera, and many others, we worked with Governor Kathy Hochul to ensure that the money that was previously committed for the Armory remains in the budget. The language was put in the final adopted budget that makes sure that the money that was committed is only for the Kingsbridge Armory. I thank you all for being here. This is the beginning, but it's not really the beginning because a lot of work has already been done and we have a good blueprint to continue and move forward. So thank you, Congressman. I look forward to working with all of you as your borough president. My team is here. Sam Goodman, Tom Lucania, and Ish is here, and all of my team, we are here to work with you on this journey. Thank you so much, Congressman.
Thank you, Borough President. Before we hear from the other elected officials, I want, starting over here, for everybody to introduce themselves. Starting with you, and then we'll go around, okay?
Good morning. Tom Lucania, Director of Community Boards and Legislative Affairs for the Borough President.
Ish Gonzalez, Bronx Borough President's Office.
Marisol Rodriguez, representing Mark Jerome from Bronx College.
Yours, Valerio, Assembly Member Yudelka, Attorney's Office.
Sam Goodman, Bronx Borough President's Office, Urban Planner.
Seats on Supermarket in the Bronx. Right, 198.
Sandra Lobo, Executive Director of the Northwest Bronx Community and Clergy Coalition.
Cristian Ramos, Kingsbridge Merchant Association.
Eric Asensio, CB7, Housing and Lands.
Hussein Abu Flani, owner of multiple businesses, semi-department store around the Bronx.
Señor.
Hi, good morning. Wilma Alonso, Executive Director of the Waterville Business Improvement District.
Manny Tavares, local resident.
Feliz Castillo, Cookie Travels, 1 West Kingsbridge Road.
Luis Brillar, President of the Delegate.
Waldo Santos, merchant on Burnside Avenue, ex-president of PPJT.
Sandy Bias, Care First Pharmacy, Kingsbridge and University.
Jessica Betancourt, owner of Bronx Optical Center, the president of BJT.
Andrew Cavallero, Executive Director of the Davidson Community Center and BJT Bronx Merchant Association.
Sean Kingston, I'm with our civic engagement department, across the street at the VA. Thank you guys for having me.
Guillermo Rodriguez, Council Member, Oswald Police Office.
Samantha Cardenas, Chief of Staff for Councilmember Sánchez.
Fiona Reeves, Chief of Staff for Councilmember Oswald.
Well, thank you all for coming this morning. And now let's hear from our local city councilwoman, Pierina Sánchez.
Good morning. Buenos días. ¿Cómo están? No. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. Good morning. All right. Well, good morning. Thank you, Congressman, for putting this breakfast together today with our business leaders. I will be the first to say that we're going to have a lot of conversations around the Armory. There have been about 25 to 30 years worth of conversations, and there's going to be a very, very solid engagement process this year. I want to thank the Northwest Bronx Clergy Coalition for last week convening a community meeting where we were able to gather, I think about, Sandra will correct me, about 70 residents and community members who were able to speak and just share different ideas about what they would like to see in the Armory. And this discussion is important because it's business leaders, right? It's you folks have been investing in this community, and your needs, we need you to thrive. We need to make sure your needs are front and center. And then we're also going to be having community discussions with religious leaders and civics and schools and all kinds of topics, because we want to make sure that what happens in the Armory here is the right thing for the community. And so I'm Pierina Sánchez. I'm the newly elected city council member here in the 14th Council District. I have the honor of representing the Kingsbridge Armory, growing up in the shadows of it, walking by it, and I have so much, there's just so much possibility there. The possibilities are endless, right? I always say that the Kingsbridge Armory is a metaphor, and we have to break the metaphor as it currently stands, because it is this beautiful, vibrant structure with so much potential that is sitting vacant. We cannot have this beautiful, vibrant community with so much potential and power and resilience and possibility. We cannot have it be disinvested in, right? So we have to move forward the Armory. I want to thank Community Ward 7, who's going to be such a critical part of these conversations, along with all of you, the Kingsbridge Merchants Association, the Burnside Jerome Tremont Merchant Association, the Fordham Big. We want to make sure you're at the table. And so just by way of update, and thank you to the Mayor's Office, and thank you to the Economic Development Corporation, which is with us today, and I have been having many conversations with them, as well as Deputy Mayor Maria Torres Springer. So just by way of update, only last Monday, right, we are barely a week away from when the legal process kind of sort of closed, right? The Connect was still fighting to hold on to the leasehold for the Armory as of last week. We have not been able to have these conversations in earnest because those conversations were ongoing. But now we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. The Kingsbridge Armory is going to be redeveloped into something else, and that is a commitment that we all make to you. We've been having so many good discussions among the elected officials who represent this community, and so right now is the right time to be having these discussions. So process is going to be very important. We're going to be very intentional about that process. We're going to be making sure that all of the different stakeholders in the community are included. You are a pillar, the community residents and neighbors are a pillar, the churches are a pillar, schools, our institutions are all pillars, and we want to make sure that what happens here is representative of the entire community.
Councilwoman. And now let's listen to our Assembly Member, José Rivera.
How do I work this? My council member said, when a car breaks down, you need to go mechanic to put that car back in right working order. So I want to thank my congressman for bringing us here to Caridad, the home of so many struggles. Since the day it first opened with the first owner, José. ¿Te recuerdas de José? Okay, here we are. Unless we're ready to deal with what went wrong, you're about to make mistake again. Right? It's a lot of history around Kingsbridge Armory. This young lady was around a long time ago with us, young activist. Today is an assemblywoman, Yudelka, who has spent all her life right outside this area, lives over here. But she knows what I'm talking about. Unless you're ready to do some repair work, you're bound to make mistakes. What you need to know is that Kingsbridge Armory has been very well documented by Bronx Net, Oswald, and by myself. There's thousands of videos that tells you the story since day one. It shows you the amount of demonstration that we put together around Kingsbridge Armory. Now, we had a good plan. Congressman, the plan was simple. In order to make Kingsbridge Armory sustainable, you cannot just rely on tourists coming in to see this wonderful historical building. But we had a plan, and that is the small businesses in front of the Armory to make an offer to the businesses that when we finish building the Armory, we're going to build a shopping mall. You move your business inside. Let government subsidize your rent. The land will either buy it from the owners or we'll take it over and build 6 to 10-story buildings, bringing new housing. Fortunately, that was voted down because there was a bright idea by some friends of ours from Riverdale that they'd much rather see an Olympic Village in the Bronx. Anybody knows what Olympic Village is? It's in Lake Placid. The Bronx was never a Lake Placid. My good friend Oliver Coppell, the assemblyman, that was his brain, the idea. With the other assemblyman, Jeff Ditterwood, they wanted a Lake Placid Olympic Village in the Bronx, in my backyard, your backyard. Not in Riverdale, over here. Come on. Our kids are still learning how to ice skate. It was doomed for failure. Why? First thing my borough president did, the minute he took office, was to vote down the plan in the city council and approve the building of Kingsbridge Armory. My borough president, Ruben Diaz, that was his contribution to building in Kingsbridge Armory. I'm not here to take pot shots at anybody. It's documented. Read the New York Post. We got a lot of criticism for allowing it and for this to happen. Today, there ain't not gonna be no ice skating rink. There are people with good ideas. Let's build on it. There's an opportunity, but unless you begin to really deal with the past, the mistake that were made, and build, we're gonna have problems. I'm ready. I'm ready to work with you, Congressman. We're all ready. The unions are anxious to work. Because if we have built this armory, it would have created right there and then over 2,000 steady jobs for the shopping mall, the theater, and the playground for the the playground for the kids inside. Now, the unions are ready. They walked away from here angry at all of us because they were let down. Okay? They're ready to come back. They know what we're doing here today. They're ready to come back and work because they need work. We stand to have 1,500 construction workers build the new armory and over 2,000 study workers. So this is about jobs. This is a great opportunity. I thank you for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you, Congressman, and thank you to all of you for being here, and thank you, Congressman, for putting this together. It was about time that we actually come seriously for that beautiful building, historical building that we have here in this part of the Bronx, to be actually redeveloped to not only benefit the community, but the people that live in this community. I've been in this fight for the last 25 years for us to actually rebuild and make that beautiful building to actually give back to the community that they are, that there is it. And I'm ready to be part of this new rethinking of how we're gonna put this to work for us and to actually bring solutions to employment that we need in this community, and to more space for our communities and community organizations, and to our small businesses to actually be part of it. And I'm glad that I see so much representation here in this room that can bring forward their ideas about this. It's true. We cannot move forward, do it better, if we don't know and we don't learn what happened in the past. And I think in the past is recent. We haven't forgotten all what happened in this fight, and we have to make sure that we move forward with that in our mind, so to make it better, to make it work for our communities. I'm ready to work, like always. I'm ready to put my 100%. Thank you, Congressman, and to Pierina Sánchez, who is the new one in the new representative for the. I think we have a great, wonderful team to actually put it together, and of course the clergy coalition that's been the number one for years in organizing and putting together all these hundreds of meetings in every church that we have around over the years. I know I was part of almost all of them. And I'm glad to be part of this new beginning. It's a new beginning for the Armory and for our community right here in Kingsbridge.
We want to welcome Marcelino from Montezuma. That's another iconic restaurant here in the Kingsbridge Armory area. But you see that there are elected officials outside of the Kingsbridge Armory area, and also businesses that are not necessarily right here in Kingsbridge, because this will have an impact as far north as Gun Hill Road and as far south as Tremont, and so we got to bring everybody in. We have our council member, Oswald Feliz.
Good morning everyone. Saludos, ¿cómo estamos? Thank you so much. I'm Councilmember Oswald Feliz. I want to thank you, Congressman Adriano Espaillat, for organizing this very important breakfast. I also want to thank all the elected leaders that have joined, that have been fighting on this project for many years. And I also want to thank all of you, the local business owners, the local residents, local community leaders, for joining us today. Joining us on a very important conversation about the Kingsbridge Armory, conversation about a project that has the potential to transform the entire, not only neighborhood, but the entire Bronx. This project, if done correctly, can assure that we bring opportunity to the neighborhood, including not only bringing good jobs to the neighborhood, but also bringing new people to the neighborhood, people that can shop in our local businesses, including right here, Caridad, supporting our local businesses. And this is a project that's very important. My council district is located just 1 to 2 minutes away from the district. It starts in Grand Concourse. The project is in my colleague, Councilmember Sanchez's district. But also, I'm also a son of the neighborhood. I grew up just 3 minutes away from the project, and I attend the school right next door. And I know the neighborhood really well, and I also know that this is a very vulnerable neighborhood, a neighborhood that has been screaming for help. A neighborhood that has been screaming for help. And if this project, if it's done correctly, we can make sure that we give this neighborhood the help that it needs, including economic opportunity and good jobs. So I'm here to provide support, and I'm looking very forward to working with all of you and all of our elected leaders to once and for all and finally move this project forward and see it finalized and see it bring the opportunity and the potential that it can bring. So I want to thank all of you for joining us, and I look forward to making this finally happen for Kingsbridge and for the Bronx. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Oswald. Now we're going to hear the most important part of this is to hear from you, and we're going to hear first from EDC, from Fernando Ortiz from
Government and Community Relations at the New York City Economic Development Corporation, known as EDC. And I think an important stakeholder in this process, right, as we're kind of the owners and managers of the Kingsbridge Armory. We have been, in the last couple of years, very much tied into litigation around the Armory, as all of the elected officials and the community stakeholders know. And I think that we're very much kind of coming out of that, right? I think we're very much confident and in a space that we feel that we can finally, you know, as was mentioned, see the light at the end of the tunnel and actually start to re-engage and reimagine a new future for the Armory, right? I think, as was mentioned, we need to learn from the past and kind of reconvene, and what we might have thought was the best use, 10 years ago may not be the best use today, right? So we constantly need to be in conversation, as Councilmember Pierina Sánchez said, we need to start these conversations. And I think from EDC's perspective, there's a lot of work that needs to happen before, when our RFP goes out and search for the mechanic, as to use the metaphor. We, from EDC side, we want to hear from the community. What do you guys want to see in that armory? What is the best use for the armory, right? And it's not just one use. I think the space is immense. I think there's opportunity for so many things within the armory, and I think that we want to be as transparent and as inclusive in the process as possible. And I think from EDC's perspective, one of the things that we need to do on our end is we need to, give the community a report card. We need to go into the armory and we need to examine it. We need to look at the conditions of the armory. We're talking about a structure that is decades old. We need to look at the roof. We need to look at the floor. We need to look at the conditions and report back to the community and say, this is how the armory is. This is the skeleton, or this is the foundation that we have to work with, right? So that before we can start having other conversations, we need to understand, as Pierina said, the car. The armory is this vehicle. We need to see what the condition of this armory is right now, and while we're doing that, have those conversations with the community. I think, as I mentioned, we're hopefully done with litigation. And so we're very excited to start having conversations with local elected officials, or to continue to have conversations, because we've been very much in communication with them, and really start to come out into the community, working with all of you and everyone else who's not here as well, to reimagine the space. As a Bronx native myself, I've always seen the Armory as kind of this massive, vacant, beautiful, building, and I think it's time that we all have access to it, right? I've seen it from the inside, and I want everyone to see it from the inside, and I want everyone in the community, and not just the Kingsbridge community, but all the neighboring communities, to be able to benefit and enjoy the space as well. So I think from the New York City Economic Development Corporation, we're committed to redeveloping the Armory. We're committed to having an inclusive and transparent process, and we're committed to starting these community conversations as soon as we're able to do so. And I'm very excited to be working with the Congressmember Espaillat, with the Borough President Vanessa Gibson, and all the other elected officials, with the council members, the state assembly members, the community board, community organizations, Northwest Bronx Community Clergy Coalition, and everyone else. And if there's any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me at EDC. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Now let's listen to you. If you have input, questions, or a statement to make regarding the Armory, si tienen alguna preguntas o tienen algún comentario que hacer, vamos a comenzar con Marisol.
Good morning, everybody. Marisol Rodriguez. I'm here for representing Monterey from Monroe College. As you know, Monroe has been an institution in this area for nearly 1 year. President Jerome wanted me to express to the elected officials and all the groups here that they are committed to continue continuing being a partner and a member and a neighbor and whatever happens in the Armory, from whether it becomes a multi-use women health center, a nice sports facility, or whatever, even when we start looking at college readiness and workforce development, the college is there to be supportive. Future meetings, the college is also there to open their arms for hearings and so forth. From my perspective, I say it's the worst of time and the best of time. It's the worst of time because when I look around, including myself, I've been here 25, 30, 40 years ago. When we did a tour with the Clergy Coalition back then, I think they were just barely starting, and there were many ideas, and those ideas came mostly from the community. It's the best of time because now we have a new leadership, and we have new leadership combined with very experienced leadership that could now help us form and do recommendations. When the city starts looking at an RFP, what I would recommend is there is a template that exists. Clergy has it, the business has it. There's a template that exists of ideas, of things that have been pushed before. So when you start crafting an RFP, start taking into consideration those templates that exist, so that way you could really engage in future conversations with the community. I'm here to be helpful. President Jerome is here to be helpful as well. Thank you.